All right, let's get right into it. There is a perfect storm brewing in mental health care. You've got this massive clinical need colliding with billions of dollars in investment, creating a kind of AI gold rush. And all of this is happening inside total regulatory chaos. The thing is, the AI is already in the therapy room, whether we're ready or not. So the real question is, who's actually in charge?
Just think about that for a second. Have you ever found yourself typing something to a bot, something you'd never say out loud, not even to a close friend or maybe even your therapist? Well, if you have, you are definitely not alone. And that one simple act right there gets to the very heart of this whole revolution.
And this quote from Tom Insel, the former head of the National Institute of Mental Health, it says it all. The big reason, the emotional driver behind this whole thing, is the fear of judgment. We go to these bots because we think they're a safe space, right? No judgment. But what happens when that safe space isn't really therapy at all?
And that brings us to our first major point here. This isn't some science fiction idea anymore. For therapists, for clinicians, AI is the new reality they have to deal with, like right now.
This is a really big deal. A major publication, JAMA Psychiatry, is now officially telling therapists you need to be asking every single patient about their AI use. It's on the same level as asking about diet or sleep. It's become a critical piece of the puzzle. Because the truth is, clients are already using these tools, and if a therapist isn't asking, they're basically flying blind.
And this is where we see a fundamental conflict. Real therapy, its goal is to challenge you, to help you grow, which can be uncomfortable. But most chatbots today, they're designed to do the opposite. They affirm you, to keep you talking, to keep you engaged. One pushes you, the other just agrees with you. They're working in two completely different directions.
And that conflict creates some pretty serious risks. A client might use a bot to vent instead of having a tough but necessary conversation with their partner. Or, much worse, they could tell an algorithm they're having suicidal thoughts, hiding that from their actual human therapist who can help. There's even research from Stanford that shows these bots can actually make stigma around serious conditions even worse. So, while the clinical world is just trying to get its head around this, there's another force pushing AI into healthcare at warp speed, an absolute tidal wave of money.
$4 billion. That is the insane amount of money venture capitalists poured into digital health in just the first quarter of 2026 alone. This is not a small, cautious experiment. It is a massive all-in bet that AI is the future of healthcare.
And it's speeding up. We're talking about a $1 billion jump in funding in just 1 year. The market isn't just bouncing back, it's flooring the accelerator on AI in health. This trend is only getting bigger.
But here's the really important part. This money isn't being sprinkled around everywhere. The average deal size shot up to nearly $37 million. That's the highest it's been since late 2021. So the cash is concentrating, meaning we're probably going to end up with a few very powerful, very well-funded companies running the show.
So, where's all this smart money going? Well, a lot of it is going to what's called the picks and shovels play. Think about it. During the real gold rush, the people who got rich weren't always the ones digging for gold. It was the folks selling the picks, the shovels, the gear. In AI, that means investing in the tools that help hospitals and health systems actually use all this new technology safely.
A perfect example is a company called Qualified Health. They provide that exact safety and governance layer, and they just raised $125 million. Now get this, one of their big investors was Anthropic, a company that actually builds AI models. So even the creators of the AI are saying, well, we need a safety layer between our tech and actual patients.
Okay, so we've got the clinical need, and we've got a fire hose of cash. The third force crashing this party is just pure chaos, a massive fight over who even gets to write the rules for AI.
And it's a real tug-of-war. On one side, you've got the White House. They want one single federal law that overrides everything else. They're arguing that a patchwork of 50 different rulebooks makes it impossible to innovate. But the reality on the ground? Over 35 states are already moving ahead, writing their own rules anyway. And just look at how messy this got in only a few months. The Commerce Department misses its deadline to study state laws. Then, literally days before the White House is supposed to release its framework, a senator drops a completely different 291-page bill. It's just a flurry of activity with no clear leader.
So what does this all mean for a company trying to operate in this space? It's pretty simple, really. You can't just wait around for the federal government to figure things out. The states are making the rules right now. For anyone in AI healthcare, following state laws isn't an option,
It's the absolute bare minimum.
Now, in the middle of all this chaos, you've got the gold rush, the regulatory mess. There's actually a model for how to do this right, a proven patient-first playbook for bringing in new tech safely. And it's coming from a place you might not expect, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
Instead of a mad dash, the VA was incredibly methodical with how they rolled out virtual reality therapy. First, they did the clinical research. Then, they ran a pilot program. And only after they proved it actually worked did they start a national rollout. It is the complete opposite of the private sector's chaos.
And the results? I mean, they speak for themselves. They've deployed over 4,700 VR headsets to treat everything from PTSD to chronic pain. And the key number here, a 28% reduction in pain intensity. This is what happens when you take an evidence-based approach instead of a move fast and break things approach. You get something that actually works.
So, let's pull all these threads together. You have patients turning to AI in secret. You have investors fueling a profit-driven race to get AI everywhere. And you have regulators who can't even agree on a rulebook. But in the middle of all that, we have this proven model for success if anyone is actually willing to follow it.
This really sums up the whole situation. You've got this huge clinical need being met by a massive financial push, all happening in a completely chaotic regulatory field. And yet, the VA has shown us that a safe, effective path forward is totally possible. All the pieces are right there on the board. Which leaves us with the one big, defining question for this new era of mental health care. The AI is already here. It's in the room. It's having secret conversations that our therapists know nothing about. So, who is supervising it? Because right now, the answer might just be nobody. And that's something we all really need to think about.